Welcome to the Successful Nurse Coach podcast. On this podcast, Laura
and Shelby, both board-certified nurse coaches, show you how to make as much money as you want in private practice as a nurse coach. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Successful Nurse Coach podcast. It is both of us here today, Laura and Shelby, and we're kind of bringing it back to basics today on a question that I think Laura and I answer maybe 400 times a week, especially for nurses who are finding the nurse coaching specialty and profession of like, what does part-time versus full-time look like? What does that all mean? And like some updated recommendations for how we think you should start. If we are just going to give you some straight up advice today, after coaching thousands of nurses and nurse coaches through this transition, we have some updated opinions about how to go about it. And we're excited. I'm excited to talk about this today because, like I said, I'm answering this call multiple times a day for interviews. And I think that even if you are in the wings, like if you're already certified and like wondering what it actually takes to pull this off, this is a good episode for you too.
So I feel like I understand why so many people want to know what this actually looks like logistically, tangibly as a business, because most of the listeners out there, you aren't independently wealthy, which means that you have to exchange a certain amount of your life force and energy and time for money so that you can pay for yourself to live. And I think in nurse coach land, we don't want to talk about just basic needs being met. Like we want our graduates and our nurses to become empowered to create extra time and extra money for wants and desires and dreams and creation. And so I think part of when we first started the Successful Nurse Coach, you and I did go all in our businesses. We had husbands who floated us temporarily. And I thought that was the best way because you and I did it that way. So, I had two case studies, and that meant, in my narrow focus.
It was pure fact.
And now it's like I just see it differently, and I see it more as like everybody has unique circumstances, but what doesn't work is 40 hours a week on a brand new nurse coach business. I know that doesn't work. And it doesn't work for a lot of reasons. And so that leads me to like the optimal way to start your business is likely part-time. That could be like 30 hours a week. It could be 25 hours a week. But if you don't have money flowing to you, it's very difficult to keep working in your business month after month without making money. And I actually worked for a naturopathic doctor and made like $1,500 a month. I worked a day and a half a week, sometimes 2 days a week. And I think that really helped me. And I forget about that because it was like this side thing that I did. And I didn't even think it was about money. But I had a paycheck. So there's like money that went into my bank account that I didn't have to create. And it helped me. It didn't hinder me. It helped me. Now, if I was working that job 40 hours a week, that'd have been really hard, I think.
Yeah, I think that is, true. I wasn't working like at an office anywhere, but you and I both taught at another certification.
Yeah, that was
a part of it
like
too.
a year and a half after though. So
yeah. Yes, true. And I think that even though that was, 100% part-time income, could not like fund a full life or family off of either of those incomes.
Yeah.
It was still just like balm on my nerves of like, that's at least coming in. And so, yes, Laura and I did quit our jobs. Yes, we did go all in on our business. And also, no, we were not working 80 hours a week in our new private practices. And I hope we can like kind of get into the details of that today for everybody on like what that actually looked like as two people who did quit their job. And then maybe we can talk about some examples of how to fit this in on a part-time. You're still working 2 12s, you're still working, a couple 8-hour shifts or like whatever that looks like. Because I find that there's just such a spectrum here to where people are either close to retirement, they could retire at any moment, so they have time. Kids are grown. They're finding their new purpose in this stage of life. Then we have like the people who fall into our stage of life that we're like, we got kids, we're hustling. There's not enough time in the day
Yeah.
between all the things we want to do. And then we even have some younger, like Gen Z nurse coaches that don't have families yet. They're in their mid 20s and they have a lot of time. And that presents its own set of barriers in and of itself, too.
Yes.
So I was actually just talking to a nurse coach yesterday about joining Make the Leap. And she's like, "Well, my kids just started school this week. I feel like routine is on the horizon, but I just don't know where to start." And I'm like, "Well, I don't believe you. Like if you say that you've listened to all the podcasts, you know where to start. It's not a lack of information that you have. It's a lack of integration that you need to do." And luckily for everybody listening, the integration doesn't take 40 hours a week. It takes 6 when you're new. Like it literally takes 6 hours a week. So we'll get into this a little bit with some more like hard facts and hard opinions on
Yeah.
what you should do to get started. But I think maybe we start with like some of the perks, Laura, of what it means to start a part-time practice right
Yeah.
after
Oh,
certification.
it's so good. And I feel like I'm now the unofficial cheerleader for every nurse should have a home-based business. You
Mhm.
just should. Everybody should. I have 6 businesses for different reasons. When you get into entrepreneurship, you realize that tax code is not written for the W-2 worker, and the W-2 worker that are nurses, which are making, close to 6 figures or 6.5 figures, we're getting screwed, absolutely hammered in taxes. And so if you come from a dual W-2 family, which most people do, not everybody, but most people do, there are tax savings just by opening a home-based business. And so sometimes it's not even about revenue. It's about restructuring your financial picture, educating yourself financially about tax code, and a home-based coaching business has very low overhead and startup, and you will get to write off a portion of your rent and your mortgage. You will get to write off a square footage part of your home. If you travel to go meet your high school friends and you tell them about your coaching business and maybe even do a pro bono 20-minute coaching session, you can write off your trip as a business trip. And these are all legal. This is not like against the law. We don't advocate for breaking the law. We advocate for like living in the gray of tax code, which is where wealthy people live. And so in Nurse Life Coach Academy and in our business training, we talk a little bit about this. But if I can get a nurse to open their LLC and open their business bank account and just get a few things in place, they can write off the certification, they can write off some other things, and they're already in a better picture financially for the rest of their nursing career, even if they never quit their W-2. Even if they had one client at a time, they're going to be in a better financial place than not having it. And then I think what happens is there comes a point in a part-time practice where you're losing money by going to work. It's a really cool moment where
Mhm.
if you had 8 more hours to work on your coaching business, you'd earn more revenue and income than if you went to work. And I don't know when that strategically happens. I think it can happen at 8 months. I think it can happen at 12 months. I think it can happen at 2 months. But that's a really neat moment when that happens. And that's where I think the first courageous leap begins, where you have to start contemplating going down to per diem or part
Yeah.
time.
Yep. Yes. I can't, I guess that you and I can't particularly speak to that moment because we didn't do it in that order. So, we've just witnessed
We
other
coached. Yeah.
nurses, coached other nurse coaches through this moment of, it's usually around like the 4 to 5 client mark
Yeah.
of like my day job is kind of costing me time and income opportunity in my business, which is a cool one. And then, then we're in this like beautiful tension of when do I jump? When do I not? And that can last anywhere from, like, 30 to 1,000 days, I feel like, just depending on your tolerance. But, I was also talking with another nurse coach the other day who wanted to join Make the Leap, our business coaching program, and she was nervous about talking to her husband about joining. She's like, "I
Hmm.
haven't made anything yet, but I really wanna do this." She has kids the same age as me. I was like, "Dude, I get this. You wanna be home." All the things, right? And I was like, "Let's walk through this conversation with your husband on how it might go." She goes, her husband is an engineer, very different style of thinking, which is all good. And, she's like, "I'm just worried that he's not gonna be bought in." I was like, "I totally get it. So let's come up with some, like, options here for you. 1, you already have our entire business course as an NLCA grad. You don't have to wait to get started. Please jump in, learn, and start doing. 2, go pick up, like, 6 extra shifts and pay for Make the Leap. Like, if the hard
Yeah.
line in the sand, if the boundary is we cannot pull from savings or the 401 or whatever, we can't do that. I don't wanna put it on the credit card. Okay, babe, like, put the driver's seat, get in the driver's seat, and go work some extra shifts for a short amount of time to be able to pay for the course. And this is, like, the part I wanna highlight about nurses. This is unique to us, to where you are
Yes.
not most of you are not salary. A lot of us are working, 12-hour shifts still. I know we have quite a bit of leadership in our group too, but, you have the flexibility to turn up the dial on your income as is without doing anything else, like short-term very short-term discomfort, and I like to view this as, like, you're doubling down on what you want. So, like, okay, the path looks different than you initially thought, and I bet if you went and picked up 6 extra shifts at the hospital, you're gonna feel the burn and have more gas in the tank to do the
Yes.
uncomfortable stuff that it
Yeah.
takes in your business, and, so if that's your path too, I know that we get hung up on, like, the timing and I wanna start now, and really the thief of joy here is just that it looks different than you thought it would, and the sooner you
Yeah.
can make peace with that, the sooner you can get over it and move on and come join us and make the leap in 4 months. Like, the opportunity is always there. So the risk, we have the unique opportunity as nurses to create out of thin air, to go pick up an extra shift, to all the things, and the risk is so low compared to other businesses. It's insanely low. Like opening a restaurant, you are probably getting close to 7 figures in the hole if you're going to start from scratch. Like,
With a 5% success rate.
right. That's insane.
It's
That's
not smart.
what?
It's not smart. It's not a
It's
it's
not.
not a choice.
No, it was a big gamble. It's a big, big gamble,
Yeah,
and,
you gotta
just
love
thinking
your
of
restaurant a lot for that.
yeah, yeah, but even thinking of, like, other businesses, if you sell, like, a product of, like if you sell beef tallow or whatever, like, you have to store the beef tallow, you have to make the beef like, there's all of this other stuff that we just don't have to mess around
Logistics.
with.
Right.
Yeah, like, we don't have to ship anything, the overhead is just so insignificant
That
compared.
professional service from home delivered into an industry that's growing and a level of expertise that already has you standing out because you're a board certified nurse coach. And I mean, I would think of if you did training and make the leap, and let's say you spent $2,000 on things for your business, maybe like a yearly subscription to something that you need and Zoom and a few other things. Let's say 10 grand. Let's just say like that's higher than most nurse coaches spend. All right. So 10 grand, that is 6 clients. You can get 6 clients in a year. So for a year, you might be paying off your initial investment. And then at 12 months, you have a skill set and a business that can create money and time and energy and purpose for the rest of your life. That's cheaper than most master's degrees.
Yep, 100%. Absolutely.
Yeah,
This feels like a no-brainer to me,
I
and
know, but we're
I know that, like,
we're
not
so in.
everyone feels this way, but, like, not only are we drinking the Kool-Aid, we're making the Kool-Aid, like, I
Yes.
understand all of that, but this I remember having this conversation with my first business coach in, like, one of our very first calls. She was talking and I frankly did not care about business stuff in the beginning. I just wanted to learn how to create clients. That's really all I cared about, but she was talking about things of, like, coaching is low overhead, like, giving the same examples that I am now, imagine if you started a restaurant, like, you'd have to buy a stove and an oven and
Yeah.
employees and, like, all this stuff, and I just was like, "Oh." I'm starting to understand that this is a unique opportunity for nurses, and also too, if you can, like, maintain per diem status, you can always, like, flex and flow with your
Yes.
hospital income to fill in the gaps, which again not like, if you think of a tech startup or I don't I'm drawing a blank on other businesses. You can't do that. Like, other business models require 100% of you for them to work to where you can absolutely start part-time here in nurse coach land, and 6 being the minimum, but really 10 to 15 clients in your first year is 100% or even the first, like, 18, 24 months,
Yeah.
100% doable.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I think that I think even just the plan of like, okay, I'm going to go in, I'm going to learn this skill and I'm going to spend 6 months learning this skill. and dedicating everything to this learning this skill. And then I'm going to spend the next 6 months learning how to integrate this skill and how to serve human beings. I'm going to just serve as many human beings as possible. I'm not going to worry about my business paying me. If I get paid, I'm pumped on it, but I'm not expecting it because Lauren Shelby told me not to. And then I'm going to give myself a whole year and not worry about ROI or making money back or put any pressure on myself. And then year 2, um, and you could be part-time you could be full-time and go to part-time during this period of time. But when you expand your time horizon, like the version of you that exists 24 months from now is so different than the version of you now. Um, and we have to have trust in that. Like, if we wait to feel like we have it all figured out or that there's no risk involved, you will never be successful as an entrepreneur.
Mhm.
And so, like, there has to be this version of you that trusts that future you, 6 months, 12 months from now, has got the money thing figured out. I find with me and my marriage, where I struggled with this is I just didn't know this. And so I made all these like income claims to my husband. So I created all my own like things I needed to hit. Like I created all my own personal gravity around this. And I wish that someone had taught me the time horizon and the perspective, but I still think I would have thought I was special.
We all do. Yeah, we're
Yeah.
different. You're gonna get your first paid client and be like, "See, it's easier for me than for everybody else." I thought that. I thought that for sure. And before we sat down to record, we were, like, kind of going through our memory of our most successful clients, the ones
Hmm.
that do hit the six-figure mark within 12 months, and we like to be super transparent that that does happen, it's just not not common, out
Hmm.
of the hundreds, we maybe have 10 that have done that,
In the
and
first 12 months. Yeah.
yeah, and even those folks it was, like, very hot and cold the first 12
Yeah.
months. Like, I would never have predicted hitting the 6-month or the six-figure mark by 12 months at month 4 with all
No.
of those people. Like, it was and that is you said something before we hit record, Laura, that, like, you just can't like, some things just take time no matter
Yes.
how much you are working in your
Right.
business.
Yeah.
So, time is a necessary part of the equation here
Yeah.
too. Yep.
Well, and I feel like at every stage of business, I remember when we started running paid ads for the first time, that there was this expectation like, hey, it's probably going to take 4 months of running paid ads for it to like make your bank account better and not worse. And like that's 16 weeks. That's 16 weeks of money going out, time going out, and nothing coming in. So I think that at every stage, anything worth having has these like incubation periods. We have to like be willing to let things incubate. And U2 jobs have not taught us that. We are dripped money. It is predictable. And so that muscle is just atrophied of like tolerating any kind of like waiting period or incubation period, you know?
Yep. Yep. I think one conversation I had early on in my coaching practice was like when my coach had us do this exercise of like, when will you know that it's time to quit? And I was 100% delusional. I was like, I'm just going to do it until it works. Like there was no opt out period for me. And that was really helpful for me to have because the first 12 months is like this. And team, it's been really helpful for me in the past 8 months too. Like still the mindset of like there were many times that I wanted to flip everything the middle finger and just be done, but the of like we have agreed to see this to the end, but we don't know where the end is.
Yeah.
Like that and it's hard to have that level of devotion in the beginning when you're learning so much and it's also new and it's also uncomfortable. But if you can have this internal promise of like, I'm just going to figure it out until it clicks. I'm just going to keep working. I'm just going to keep working the process. I'm going to keep coaching people. I'm going to keep talking about it. And it might take 12 months. It might take 36 months. And I'm just here. I'm here for whatever it is that is helpful. It's just
Yeah.
the mind
It's
games. It's just
unconditional.
helpful. Yeah.
Well, it's unconditional instead of conditional because I think that if we set conditions, especially when we involve other people like our partners in those conditions,
Hmm.
there's just so much unknown that those conditions end up creating more pressure and not that we shouldn't have guardrails. So like I remember having a conversation with my husband and at some point he said, "Hey, it's going to take as long as it takes. Is this what you want to do? I believe in you." And that was really nice, but that wasn't in the beginning. But I remember thinking, well, if I don't make anything in 6 months, then we can have a conversation about me changing my approach or like or have a conversation about how this is affecting you and how you're feeling about this and create new agreements. I think that's great. Like maybe a strategic off ramp or a strategic conversation. But in between that strategic off ramp or conversation that you have with a condition, you've got to like almost face it with unconditional trust.
Mhm.
And then, or like frame it as a winning game. Like, hey, I'm going to work on my part time coaching business as long as it takes to be able to cut down my hours at work. And um, I don't know how much money I'm going to make, but I'm going to grow so much personally that it's all worth it. Because then you find dopamine and you find worth and you find accomplishment and purpose in the months that you make nothing, which by the way, I have never had a student or a mentee that follow their revenue for the first 12 months that made money every month. Never had one. There's always a 0 month, always,
Yep.
or more, or multiple
Yep.
0 months.
Yep. 100%. We've had a couple people come close. They'll squeak through with like 2 or $300 that month,
Huh?
you know?
That's true.
But yeah, there's always a 0 month. I mean, we've even had 0 months several years in, you know?
Mhm.
Like, I think I used to have a lot of judgment around corporations and it's like, "Ooh, will the team get a bonus this year or will the team get fired this year?" And I'm like, "Oh, fuck, I totally get it now. I totally understand." It's so God, y'all, there's skills at every level here, and it's so easy to look at it of like, "Oh, I just don't like it. I'm not cut out for this," or it's like, "Oh, this is just like the new rule book of like what it means to operate a business at this level." And there's one that's more helpful than the other.
Yeah.
And something that we see with especially with students in NLCA right now cuz we're so intimately involved with them that even if they don't have any paid clients at all, I mean, doing your pro bono work is a part-time gig, like that's
Yeah.
part-time hours right there. They come out the other side feeling so fulfilled
Yes.
and so regulated and so like attached, connected to their purpose. And that's a bonus right there. Like
Yeah.
just even I do not recommend coaching for free outside of pro bono hours ever, but the personal fulfillment you get even just being tapped into this healing modality is it ripples.
Well, you better clarify on you never recommend coaching for free outside of pro bono hours.
I mean, like, yeah, you can do the initial sessions for free, but like if
Yes.
you are coaching pro bono for 8, 10, 12 sessions outside
Right.
of pro bono, that's a no-no. Message me. I'll give you a pep
Yeah.
talk. Yeah. Yeah. We do coach a lot of those like initial consultations, initial powerful
Mhm.
conversations for free. Yes.
Yeah.
But packages for free are a no-no.
Right. I had a very experienced nurse coach that I have in CEO circle that we were coaching this week. And she's experienced just like she's lost her excitement and her connection. And then it's fueled. And then there's been other circumstances and it's like created this mind drama and this making meaning. And her homework was to go find 3 people to coach for 2 hours for free.
Mhm.
Like it was like, okay, we have to like cleanse our palate and just go over here and do the beginning stage and just do 3 of them. Um, because this business is all about service. And if you go too long without serving, everything else that you do in your business sucks. And so that's why we always say make coaching the primacy of your vision and your practice and the main focus. But I think that sometimes people hear us say that and they just start coaching everybody for free. Well, Lauren Shelby said to coach my ass off, so I'm going to coach my neighbor for 12 sessions because she can't afford it. We don't want you guys
Yeah.
to do that.
We did. I have a current mentee that did that. She goes, "Shelby, I listened to every episode of the podcast and I heard you say 100 hours for free. So I just did 100 hours and I was like, "Oh my no." Yeah, so that's on us. That's on us. I mean, she got the experience one way or another.
Yeah.
Totally crushed it. But yeah, I think that even working part-time, especially working part-time, you kind of don't need to do anything else but just connect with humans and coach them.
Yeah.
That's
Right.
literally it. You don't have to do really anything else to generate clients at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, it's coaching, evaluations, and then in your spare time, if you have spare time, that's where you do some of the medium game stuff or business setup or structures. I just got off a call with I think a student who's going to join Make the Leap, and she was like, "I she has business experience," and she's like, I've been thinking about like a course, and I've been thinking about like doing this thing over here, and I really like coaching on this, and I really like coaching on this, and I hired someone to do my website, and I know I need to pick a niche, and I'm like, oh, yes, take a deep breath because it's so easy to get spun up like that. And if you don't have any guardrails, like then part time doesn't feel like you have enough time to do what matters. And very quickly, 6 weeks have gone by and you haven't had a session. And that is where it is impossible to stay connected to coaching. If you haven't coached, I think like 2 hours a week is like a minimum. Like I
Mhm.
would love to make that like the minimum, like 2 sessions per week, most weeks of the year, if you're going to be working in your business part time. And those can be paid or they can be pro bono. But if it's been 3 weeks since you've coached at all and you're working on anything other than invites, you've lost the plot. And when you lose the plot, everything gets so heavy and so hard. And it's like this is where you'll start doing weird stuff.
I was coaching another wonderful human in Make the Leap this week, and she goes, "Shelby, I ran out of people to invite." I was like, "Is that true? Like, we're only like 5 weeks in to Make the Leap. Like, probably not, but tell me. Tell me how many invites you've done." She goes, "Well, I reached out to everybody." We do this thing called the coming out post in Make the Leap, to where you announce to the world that you're a coach, and it's usually where our first invites stem from. She's like, "Well, I reached out to everybody on there, and I don't know what to do next." And so she's been doing weird stuff, like getting in Facebook groups and trying to make new friends with cold leads, which isn't the wrong thing. It's just the wrong thing at this time,
Yeah.
because that's long game strategy. And I was like, "No, babe, we just make another post." And she goes, "Ugh, how did I not put that together?" I was like, "Doesn't matter. You put it together now, and we're gonna make the next post. We're gonna make an Epiphany Bridge post, and we're just
Yeah.
gonna like put one foot in front of the other." But I remember in the beginning too of just like I don't really have, maybe you have a label for this, but like I would get in a groove and I would do the thing, and then I would kind of like run out of thread on my homework assignment, and then I would start doing weird stuff.
Yeah.
And then my coach would be like, "Come back. Here's the thread. Stay on the thread, like keep pulling on this thread." And then you run, and it's like I was in kindergarten, and like you had to
Yeah.
tell me like, "Okay, watch out for the curb, and here we got to stop at the stop sign." And like I don't know what that is. I'm
Oh
a
my
smart
goodness.
person, but, like, what is that? Do you
Oh
know?
my gosh. I feel like you just gave me the best visual of what a new nurse coach practice is. You are a toddler. And you are hell bent on killing yourself. Like you are. You're hell bent on killing your business by doing weird things. And like I feel like as the business mentor or group, it's like we're like, no, 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 that's a curve. No, 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 no. We don't hit. No, 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 no. Like because we just don't know,
Yeah.
And it's man, I wish that you and I got to go to Make the Leap after we graduated.
Oh, yeah, me too. Me
We would
too.
have
I
like
did
had
find a
so much
coaching.
fun.
Yeah, it would've been great. It would've been
Yeah.
awesome. I was in a Make the Leap-esque kind of
Hmm.
space to where it was 8 weeks, and, um but I was, like, the only nurse, right? And so there was a lot of questions that my coach, not to her fault, she just couldn't answer for me, so I had to, like, go
Yeah.
find by myself. And, Make the Leap is the best shortcut in your business. Like, if truly, honestly, it's still gonna be bumpy and wild, and you're probably still gonna cry about it, but it's the best shortcut for your
Yeah.
business
Yeah.
out there. Yeah. Okay, so part-time practice team, goal of, like, anywhere from really 6 to 10, 15 people a year. Like,
Yeah.
if you have 15 clients a year, you are definitely making part-time income, probably between 40 and 60K a year. So that's, like, not chump change. And you're probably working, I don't know, 8 hours a week doing that? 10
Yeah.
hours a week? Like, really actual part-time hours. Yeah. And for some clarification, for full-time practice, you're really hovering at about 30, 26 to 30 clients a year. And I was on a call the other day and I said that, and she goes, "Oh, so how much money do you make with 30 clients a year?" And I was like, depending on what you charge, anywhere between like 75, 110 on the low end.
For
But if you
just
played
one-to-one. Yeah.
for one-to-one, and I was like, "But, if you raise your prices to industry standard, you're probably 120, 130." And she goes, "Oh, okay, that's awesome." She goes, "When you first said 65K, I was like, that doesn't even get close to touching, like, my nurse income, but I wanna, like, point that out of we are in control of your price, of your packages, of your offers, of the one-on-one, of the group, if you wanna do retreats, like, we have full control. That's not prescriptive. We can really, like, tinker and titrate any of those things to make it make sense for where you
Yeah.
live, your
We
lifestyle. Yeah.
we saw a job posting recently with a few of our colleagues that was for a full-time executive coach, and they needed to be a provider. So they needed to be like an NP. They needed to have an advanced practice degree. They needed to have 3 to 5 years of coaching experience and some kind of like national certification. And it was like a 275 to 350K role,
Yeah.
full-time coaching role.
Yep.
So there is a version of this even in like at the 5 year mark. Like if you can do this for 5 years, you just learn so much in 5 years. If you were a professional nurse coach for 5 years, there are likely W-2 jobs in that range that exist
Oh,
as
yeah.
well.
Yep.
Yeah.
Totally.
And
Yeah,
that's
the more
some people's dreams. That's the dream for some of our
yeah.
clients.
Well, the more that we do, the longer I mean, talk to Shelby in 2020, and if someone was talking about a coaching job, I just would have brushed you off, which is can be can be an amendment for me here. But they are so I don't wanna say that they're, like, common, but I hear of them so much
Yeah.
more of, like, talking to nurses, and they're like, "Oh, well, we have a life coach on staff," but all they really do is, like, update the bulletin boards on our unit. Like, I don't really even know what they do, and I'm like, "Oh,
Yeah.
man, the bar is so low," but this is a great opportunity to notice that they're popping up more,
Huh?
hospitals are hiring them,
Yes.
and nurse coaches, I 100% know would do a better job because you know the language, you know the lingo, you know what it's like to be a bedside nurse. Like, the nurses could just, like, soar in this role if
Yeah.
hospitals are hiring. So yeah, that could be I don't know what the next 5 years holds. The last 5 years have been crazy for the nurse coaching industry, like, hard to predict, but it only, I imagine, gets bigger from here.
Yep. Absolutely. I think also too, I wanted to speak to when you go part-time in your business, oftentimes if you're coaching 1 or 2 clients at a time, it makes your day job more tolerable. You feel like you're
Mm,
connected to something bigger. There is a light at the end of the tunnel. You start implementing some of the skills at your job feels better. So like all boats rise. So also sometimes the best path in isn't to jump in with both feet with no parachute. Sometimes it is, but I'm just finding from a nervous system regulation from an easier path for most people's nervous systems is to go part-time, is to make that
yeah,
your first goal. Not to make
yep.
the first goal, I'm gonna quit my job and start up I'm gonna be full-time in my business. Maybe not start there. Maybe, have a lily pad. Like my goal is to go part-time or per diem. I already have some roles that I'm looking at. My time horizon for this is the next 6 to 12 months. That makes me feel good. It makes me not have the Sunday scaries before I go to work because I know I have a plan and I'm working towards something. Oftentimes, that's like a really cool place to build from as opposed to total disruption, change in identity, financial pressure. That's a big ask on ourselves to be new at a business, new at a skill set, and have financial pressure and a change in identity all at once. That's a lot.
It's so much.
But also, you guys can do it.
Yeah,
Like you can
100%.
also do it. It's the worst case scenario is that you quit and then you get a per diem part time job 3 months after you quit, and you end up in the same exact place, and like who cares?
Right, right. Yep. The only thing you gotta be careful of is watching the story that you tell yourself about what all of that means.
Yep.
You're gonna get opinions from people that you didn't ask. Like, there's, like, this whole other piece of it, and at the end of the day, the reality is, like, it doesn't actually matter. If you have to,
Yeah.
like, quit your job and then go per diem, like, it really doesn't. It
Yeah.
really, really, really doesn't matter. Yeah. Also, let's talk about full-time practice, and the more time that you have, the more likely you're gonna flop too.
Oh, yes.
This is, like, such a weird phenomenon that
It
we
is.
have seen over and over and over again.
It is.
Yeah.
I think some of our highest earners were single moms. I 3 come to mind immediately, multiple 6 figures. They did what they had to do because they had to do it because they didn't have a partner and they had financial responsibility. So there was built-in fire underneath their ass that was real, and I think it aided in them doing scary things even when they didn't want to. So I've seen that phenomenon play out. The other one that I see play out is maybe the nurse is married to somebody who makes a lot of money, so there's too much space. There's no pressure financially, really. There's like, I need to and I want to, but I don't have to. And then it gives you permission to slow down. And then you're more focused on how your business feels and how you want it to feel. So I feel like the more space that you have, sometimes you can spend too much time evaluating how your business feels instead of evaluating what needs to be done to create the results that you want. So I almost feel like it flips you into feminine. And then it can be, this is the other story. It's like, well, I like so and so's only part-time and they're made 10,000. I'm full-time and I haven't made anything. And it's like when you have a lot of time, you'll spend a lot of time on things that don't matter because you can. When
Mhm.
you have limited time for whatever circumstance, then you are forced to eat the frog or do the thing to set calls. And then if you have extra time, you do those extra things. But if you have a whole week available, and this is just for most humans, I wouldn't do well with a whole week off. Like if my whole family left for a week and I had nothing on my calendar for a week, that sounds good for about 4 hours. And then I would be like, what am I going to do? Like, should I organize my closet? Should I? It's almost like too much. Whereas if my whole family left and I had 3 hours to myself in the morning and 2 hours in the afternoon on Thursday, and it would almost be better because it was finite. So I would spend it well. Too much free time for most people, it's hard in private practice when you're first starting.
Mhm. I mean, I did this. I was that person who said, like, Rob would go to work at the army. Whatever they did in the army, he would be
Yeah.
gone for, like, 10 hours, and then he would leave me in my office working on my computer, and then he would come home, and I would be in the same spot, and he's like, "What'd you do today?" And I was like, "I don't know. Couldn't tell you." Like, nothing. I sat here all day because doing anything else felt like the wrong thing because I didn't have enough paid clients yet, but I wasn't really actually doing anything productive other than, like,
Yeah.
doom scrolling and looking at other coaches and trying to figure out my next post and blah, 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 blah. So, it would've been better if I would've been like, "Alright, I got 2 hours to, like, do it here, and then I'm gonna go get lunch with a friend, and then I'm gonna go for a walk, and then I'm gonna, like, go live my life to generate more energy to come back into the business with." And so I did that, a lot for, like, probably 3 or 4 months where I just, like, pretended to work in my business, honestly, in the
Yeah.
beginning. And the more success that we have, the fuller my plate is with, like, personal and business, and, that's just it of, like, whenever my kids go to bed and I have, like, an hour left of brain space, I'm like my brain dies at 8:30, so I'm just gonna, like, get in here and, like, button up as many things it's like a race against the clock before I
Mhm.
just, like, tap out and then go get a snack and go to
Yeah.
bed, you know? And so I'm way more productive that way when I'm able to whenever I have more
Yeah.
things on my plate. So, if you quit your job, please be aware of this. Like, have a time block to where you're in it and you're doing the important things in your practice, and then go. Get up, leave, go live your life, go do the thing. Um, I think that that's better than, like, pretending to work on your business for 40 hours
Mhm.
a week.
Yeah, I one of our Make the Leapers who's on this podcast, I won't name her, but she comes from a leadership role where she had to manage her own calendar. And so going from a leadership role where you did manage your own calendar, or let's say you're a case manager that managed your own calendar, like I think there's also specific roles where that transition's easier. But if you've
Yeah.
been a floor nurse, like a clock in, clock out
Yep.
type of worker, this is like uncharted territory. And so I also think just what you did before and the skill sets that you have can be
Yeah,
really helpful.
totally. Yeah, whenever you, like, log into work at your mobile computer and then you have all these tasks, you don't have to, like, really, like, you can organize your day, but, like, the tasks are just like, "Burp, here you go. This is what you do today." So, yeah, there's definitely some backgrounds that lean to an easier transition, but all nurses can learn this skill. Every single one of you. It's not
Mhm.
impossible. Every single one of you can learn it. And I think the last thing I wanna land the plane on here, team, and this is something I wish somebody would have told me in the beginning. I remember when I was a new coach on my sales call with my business coach when she was like, "What kind of business do you want?" And I was like, I don't know what I want it to look like. I don't know the specifics. I don't have an ideal client. I just know that I want it to feel authentic. I want it to feel real." And she goes, "Okay, great. I can help you with that." And what I wish a little birdie would have whispered to me in that moment is authentic is both the good and the bad. It's messy, it's the high points and the low points. And I thought that if I magically figured out all of the puzzle pieces in my life, in my business, then everything would be easy all of the time. And that is a fairy tale, and that is not real life. And full-time private practice will be easy, it will be hard, it will be worth it, and there will be moments where you question your sanity, and, like, that's the point. I think that's where you're, like, playing full out on your edge
Yeah.
of what you're capable of, what you're meant to do in the world, all these things, and I just wish that someone would have set my expectations a little better in the beginning of, like, "Hey, authenticity means both. It's the light and the dark, and so, like, if that's what you really want, awesome. Entrepreneurship's like a fantastic modality to
Yes.
experience that."
Yeah. Well, and I feel like oftentimes, even now in the business we have, if I have a one-to-one scheduled or I have a coaching session scheduled and it's really, really good, that is still the only thing that makes this feel worth it. There's no like actual amount of money that makes the shitty parts worth it. It's the our clients having a transformation and us getting a front row seat or being participating in that is still the why. It was the why at the one-to-one first year. It is the why at 7 years in the multi-seven-figure business. That never goes away. If you can stay connected to that, I think it makes it easier as well. And then money and time and all the other things, that's a side effect of keeping that front and center year after year. Um,
Yeah,
yeah. And nurses
absolutely.
are, we want that. That's who we are. We want to
Mhm.
do that with people.
Yep. Yep, in the full-time practice, you will be constantly what is a word? Like, playing the game here? Like, there's not a point in business where you, like, unlock everything and then everything's just, like everything's figure outable, but you're always figuring it out. Like, you're gonna figure out this thing, and then you're gonna come over here and fix this thing, and then you're gonna have to come back and, like, update this thing that you fixed 6 months ago. And so that too. I think it was either Alex or Layla Hormozy. I consume so much of their content, but they were talking about lead generation and like you will figure it out and then in 90 days you're going to have to come back and figure it out again. And I'm like,
Yeah.
"God, that's so annoying." But I'm also really glad that I know that so that I don't have unrealistic expectations on like
Yeah.
our ads and things like that, just like it's a constant tweaking and polishing and tweaking and
Yeah.
polishing that it's helpful to know so that you don't feel
Yeah.
like you're doing it wrong, of like
Yeah.
you're constantly flopping every 90 days rather than like, okay, let's just sit down every 90 days and like assess and pivot. That's way easier to deal with.
Have we sold you on how easy and wonderful it's going to be?
Yeah. Life is hard either way, Laura. You and I
Yep.
know this. It would be hard if I was working in the ER. It'd be hard if I was working nights. It would be hard anyway.
It'd be
I
hard
want to
if you were
choose.
single, if you were stay-at-home mom full time.
Yep. Hard then too.
Hard.
Yep.
It's all hard.
It's all hard, and this is the most cliche advice, but, like, what hard do you want? What hard is meaningful to you? What hard is rooted in purpose? Like, choose that hard. So that's the hard you feel good
Even
about
part
at
time.
the end.
Even part
Even
time.
part-time. Even part-time. Yeah, alright, team. This was a extra juicy episode here. Thanks for tuning in. Let us know what you
Yeah.
think. Did we help make this more approachable or did we scare you off? I think that would be helpful for us to know. And come join us in the Facebook group. We have Nurse Life Coach Academy and the Successful Nurse Coaches. Would love to have you. Lots of good discussion happening in there. And we'll see you on the next one.
See you
Same
later.
time, same place. Bye.